Welcome to Selling in the Motor Trade, in association with Automotive Management and SMT. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips, and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. And firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. We know that mental ownership questions work in selling. We know people have to take mental ownership before they take actual ownership. I think mental ownership questions is one of the most powerful things I've learned in selling cars over many, many years. I learned it from a suit salesperson. That's right, not a car salesperson, a suit salesperson. Let me tell you the whole story. This went back years ago when I just started the company. This was before Emma and we had children. I found myself in Chester with my wife, and listen, if you knew me really well, you know I'm not a shopper. Okay, I can think of nothing worse, but my wife, Emma, she is a shopper. So I'm in there killing time, and I didn't go to buy a suit. I was wearing an old pair of boots at the time, an old pair of jeans, and from memory, I think I had a Brisbane Broncos rugby league jersey on or something like that. Clearly not attire to go and buy a suit. I'm just killing time. I ran into a great salesperson. Firstly, this guy's attitude was brilliant because he's speaking to someone who clearly doesn't look like they belong in this particular shop. As I'm looking at these suits, flicking through a few different suits there, he come up and he asked me a great question, a question I'd have to be really rude not to answer. Now that is an alternative question. He didn't say, can I help you? Are you okay? Is someone looking after you? They're what we hear all the time in the retail world, because of course I would have said, just looking, just wasting time. My wife's next door, just killing time, okay? He didn't do that. He turned around and asked that alternative question. The first words out of his mouth was, hey, do you normally wear a single-breasted or double-breasted suit? I said, well, I normally wear a single-breasted suit, but I'm just, and before I could even say looking, he did a half a sort of step back. He put his arms up almost in a surrender pose. He said, oh, no problem. Make yourself at home and have a good look around. But just to let you know that all the suits you're looking at there, they're all the double-breasted suits and the blazers. Now, all the single-breasted suits, they're on those racks behind it there. Right up the front, they're the suits that are in our sale at the moment. Now, you might want to have a look at them because there's some really good offers. Now, right on the back wall, they're the suits that we call our core line product. Now, being a core line product, we make the fabric ourselves. So if you ever need another pair of trousers or something like that, you can always come back and get it because that fabric will always have stock of it just because we make it ourselves. Some of the designer suits, they buy the fabric in and you can't get the extra pair of trousers when you need. So make yourself at home and have a good look around. So actually the technique he's used there is what we train in the motor trade all the time. It's called signposting, isn't it? He's just telling me where things are. Isn't that what we train our salespeople to do when someone says, I'm just looking? Yeah, no worries, make yourself at home, have a good look around. But just let you know, our used cars here are just a small selection of cars that we got in group stock. If you can't find what you're looking for here, just ask, because it might be at our central compound. Now, new cars, we can't fit everything in the Audi range in the showroom. So it's not here, just ask, because it might be out the back. Okay, we got teas and coffees down there, and there's toilets on the left. So make yourself at home and have a good look around. That's almost identical to what this suit salesperson did. So I left these double-breasted suits and the blazers. I started looking at the single-breasted suits. How long do you reckon the salesperson left me? Yeah, you're right. It must have been 30, 45, maybe a minute tops. He keeps his eye on me where he's adjusting ties on one of these tie racks. Then he comes up, or tie tables, I think it was. Then he comes up and asks me another alternative question. Okay. He said, do you normally wear a darker or lighter suit? Oh, well, I normally wear a darker suit. He said, oh, the only reason I tell you that is you might want to have a look in the sale rack. There's some really good offers, but they tend to be lighter in color, but also in the weight. It's just we're coming into winter and we're trying to get rid of some of our summer stock, but there's some really good offers there. Okay, so I left the rack I was looking at. I went to their sale rack. I had a flick through and there's nothing I really liked. So I went back to the darker single-breasted suit. Now, also, do you think he's asking me some qualifying questions there by, do you normally wear a darker or lighter suit? He's trying to work out how often do I wear suits? I'm guessing, I don't know, but he's definitely starting to qualify. But then he asked me the third alternative question. Again, after a bit of a break, okay? And I think it's a great question. He said, if you were replacing a suit, would you be replacing a work suit or a casual suit? Now, because I got absolutely no idea what a casual suit is, I said a work suit. The suit salesperson then said, hey, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a sales trainer. He did a quick step back. He said, you're not one of those mystery customers, are you? I said, no, do you get them in your industry? He said, yeah, they're coming in with cameras and everything nowadays. So I know we work in the motor trade and yeah, we have those mystery shopping customers all the time in the motor trade. So I've always wanted to work in the motor trade. I don't know if he did or didn't, but is he building some rapport? Of course he is. See, if you have a look at the road to sale process and what he's doing, firstly, his attitude was brilliant. He's done the meet and greet. He's now going to continue to qualify me around my current situation. Okay. He turned around and said, now I can't remember it word for word, it was many years ago, but he said something along the lines of, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Simon. I said, oh, I'm Simon as well. He said, well, I always remember that. He said, Simon, I've never seen you here before. Where do you normally get your suits from? Now the ego in me started to talk. I turned around and said, well, I normally get a Hugo Boss suit or a Cerruti suit. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you the truth. I've never owned a Hugo Boss suit ever in my life. I've only ever owned one Cerruti suit and it was shite. I bought it from an outlet village in Bicester Village, I think it was, near Oxford in England. And I wear the bum out of it in 3 or 4 months, okay? But the ego in me started speaking. Also, let's analyze what Simon, the suit salesperson, is doing. Do you think he's trying to get a rough idea about budget? Do you think he's trying to get an idea about my current situation to make recommendations going forward? Possibly, okay? He then continues to qualify me. And bear in mind, he's a suit salesperson. He said, so you're a sales trainer, do you travel lots? I said, yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. So, okay, mainly by road or by air? Now, at that point there, Emma and I had just started SMT. So it was all by road. The suit salesperson then said, well, how many miles a year are you doing? Now, if you ever work for yourself, you know when you first start off, you're doing absolutely everything. And if there was a gig in Edinburgh one day and it was a Plymouth the next, I was doing it. Okay, I was doing, it must have been a huge mileage. So I said, listen, it's I definitely all by road. The suit salesperson then said, how many miles a year are you doing? Okay, not a car salesperson, suit salesperson. How many miles a year are you doing? So because it was so much, I said, listen, it's got to be about 30,000 miles a year. Now this next line, I know when I sit down and think about it in the cold light of day, I know he's used this line with hundreds of people before and hundreds after. But bear in mind, it's the first time I heard it. He said, you know what, Simon? I'm almost willing to bet you've got a whole lot of suits hanging up in your wardrobe at home where you can't wear it anymore, where the jacket's perfectly good, but you've worn the trousers out. Straight away, I thought, shit, he knows me. He said, yeah, I have. He said, what you need is something like this. He just turned and walked. Guys, what did I have to do? Yeah, of course, I had to follow him. How rude would I be not to follow him? Of course I did. He said, Simon, what you need is something like this. See, this is what we call a bird's eye weave. This one's not, by the way, okay? But this one's a bird's eye weave. You see, what happens is, throughout the day, when you're training, you're doing the work, you might not think so, but you actually perspire slightly. And what happens is that moisture gets into the garment. Now, when you jump in the car at the end of the day, you start driving, okay, what happens is the moisture gets in between the fibers and it starts compressing it. And that's where you start to get the sheen or the shine. Now, straight away, I'm thinking, he bloody knows me. Okay, I do. Then he turned around and said, so do you have leather seats, Simon? I said, yeah, I do. He said, yeah, that's almost worse, okay? Because what happens is the leather seats, that's where you get the shine. So what I recommend is this thing called a bird's eye weave. You see, with the bird's eye weave, there's more texture in the garment. And what that does is it gives more opportunity for any moisture content to wick away from the body. Yeah, bird's eye weave. That's what I want. Wick away from the body. That's what I'm doing. Okay. He said also, Simon, if you have a look at this, this is a quality wool suit. If I get my fist here and I hold it really tight on the sleeve, okay? He got the sleeve and he held it really tight. See how my knuckles are turning white? And then I just let it go. See how the creases just fall straight out. A polyester suit, it won't do that, but a quality wool suit, it's going to do that, okay? And it'll breathe better as well. I went, yeah, the creases just fell straight out. That's brilliant. Hey guys, I've since done this in Mataland, okay? On a 50-pound suit, the same bloody thing happened, okay? But it's the first time he did it to me. He said, but also, Simon, what I recommend is with your suit, okay, when you get to home or your hotel, when you get there, leave the belt in. Hang the suit upside down by the bottoms there, by the cuffs there. And what will happen is the weight of that belt will help pull the creases out before you wear the suit again, okay? And that way you won't have to get it pressed as many times, because pressing the suit over too much, that'll prematurely wear it out as well. Leave the belt in. I don't do that. Hang them by the bottoms. That's brilliant. I'll do that in future. But Simon, what I really recommend is you actually get a suit from our core line product. That's why I want to show you these suits. Being our core line product, as I said before, we make the fabric ourselves. So if you do prematurely wear a pair of trousers out, we can always just make you another pair. So that jacket that's perfectly good, it's not going to waste. I strongly recommend you get 2 pairs of trousers from day one. You see, 2 pairs of trousers more than doubles the length of ownership of a suit. You see, what happens is if you hang them upside down, leave the belt in, and you've got that extra pair of trousers, there's more time before you wear that suit again for any moisture content in the garment to evaporate before you wear it again. Never forget, Simon, it's the moisture content that prematurely wears out that garment. Yeah, moisture. Don't get impressed. 2 pairs of trousers, more than doubles. When you think about it, it's all the presentation he's doing, isn't he? His attitude was brilliant. He's done the meet and greet. He's kind of got an idea from my current situation, or he thinks he's got an idea from my current situation about the Hugo Boss suit or the Cerruti suit. He's done the presentation. Of course, what's the next stage in any good sales process? You're right, it's the demonstration, okay, or the test drive. Now, you know at Simco, we like to call them demonstration drives, not test drives. But he's got to get the suit on me. He's got to start that mental ownership. Now, you probably know where he's going with this, okay? Do you think he said, do you want to try the suit on? Of course not, because the answer would have been yes or no. At that stage, I would have said, no, I'm not going to buy a suit, not without Emma, okay? Not as I'm dressed, I would have said no. He didn't do that. He used the assumptive route, okay? Again, it's what we do in the motor trade all the time. Do you want to go for a demonstration drive? It's yes or no. Listen, while the boss is looking at your car, come with me, I'll show you how nice it is. Just assume to get them into it. Same as, I'm guessing, a great watch salesperson. If they can get that watch onto your wrist, actually the closing ratio would go through the roof, okay? And if a good suit salesperson can get that suit on you, I'm sure the closing ratio will go through the roof, because we know if we can get more bums in seats, if we can increase the number of demonstration drives, we know that our sales tend to go up. Bums in seats still sells cars. So he's going to do the demonstration. He didn't say, Simon, do you want to try the suit on? Straight away, he said, what are you, about a 40 regular, something like this? Now, if any of you listen to this have worked in retail, you guys are brilliant. You can look at someone and know exactly what size they are, okay? I said, yeah, well, I think so, I'm not really sure. So he gets a 40 regular jacket and just puts on. He says, yeah, I think that's right. So he gets a dark, single-breasted, 40 regular suit and just goes and hangs it in the changing room. He then looks at my shirt. He says, what neck size are you? I said, oh, no, don't worry about that. Listen, I'll just try it on with this jersey. Simon, you can't try a suit on with that jersey. It just won't be right. He gets the tape measure out and he says, well, about a 15.5. He does a big song and dance then at getting a 15.5 shirt out of one of those cellophane bags. Okay, you know, taking all the pins out and all that sort of stuff there. I'm like, oh, no, please don't do that. No, Simon, it's fine. Isn't he obligating me? Of course he is. Listen, you know what it's like when you've got that used car display and it's packed 3 or 4 deep. Actually, if you're listening to this at the moment, 2022, the used car display is not packed really deep because we can't get good stock. But you know, it's like when it was packed and you can't get that car out easily. Too often I've seen a poor salesperson reappoint someone for the appointment to turn up. No, don't do that. Let them see you go through the pain of digging that car out because it personally obligates them. And that's what Simon, the suit salesperson, is doing. It's almost like, oh, I've just put a pin in my finger because of you. How dare you? Now, of course, he didn't say that, but I'm feeling obligated. He then looks down at my boots. He said, what size shoe are you? I said, no, honestly, I'll just try it with socks. They'll be fine. He said, no, you won't get the right effect. I said, well, size 9, something like that. Okay, they'll be fine. He then, in this particular shop, he phones the lady who's working downstairs and says, can you bring up a pair of black Oxford brogues, something like that. As long as they're black, they're size 9s. So I'm now in the changing room. He's got that dark single-breasted suit. He's got a shirt, shoes, and 2 different colored ties, okay? So I put this suit on. I thought, okay, well, that's a suit. That'll do. And at that stage in my life, I was a sleeve shopper. Actually, if I'm brutally honest, I'm still a sleeve shopper. Any ideas what a sleeve shopper is? Yeah, what I'd do is I'd have a look at all the sleeves with the prices on that suit. I'd get to the price that I liked, then I'd have a look at the suit. So I put this suit on. I remember going straight to the sleeve and distinctively thinking, fuck that. Because whatever I spend on a suit, Emma's spending on shoes or a shoe, okay? But I've got to go outside of the changing room because he's still out there. He turns around and says, is that okay? So I felt obligated. I had to walk outside, okay? So I walked outside. Before I've even got to the mirror, he said, nah, Simon, that's not right for you. You said you wear a Hugo Boss suit before, so I've got something that's a bit more cut down. What I think I need for your style or your body style is something that's a little bit more tailored. Okay, we need an Italian cut for you. Now, to this day, I'm just a bit confused. I can only imagine that it's true what he was saying about the body shape. And I didn't have a beer belly that I've got now back then, okay? So something more tailored probably would be right. But also, remember, I lied to him about a Hugo Boss suit. So maybe it was my fault to start with. But anyway, I'm not wanting to buy a suit. I don't want to try one on. But now he's got me trying the second suit on. He goes back in there. He says, no, I think this will be better for your body. So now I'm in there. I've got this second suit on. This time I put the second suit on. Oh, first time round, I didn't put the tie on or anything like this, but I put this second suit on. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, he's right, the bastard. Look at that. That is more tailored. Oh, I like that. Okay, I got the ties. I didn't tie them, but I held them up. Yeah, that looks really good. But then I went to the price of the second suit. What do you reckon he did? The price of that second suit. No, it wasn't cheaper. Wasn't dearer. I didn't know. He took it off. I'm looking everywhere for the price, thinking, how much is it? Okay, I've got to go outside. Okay, I have no idea how much this second suit is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this story. Okay, please don't take it the wrong way. I'm happily married. When I first met Emma, my 6 numbers come up. I'm happy as pig and shite, as the saying says, okay? But at the time, it didn't matter. You see, when I come out, Simon was there. The girl who bought the shoes up was there. I'm certain this pair has done this double act with hundreds of people before and after. But remember, it's the first time I heard it. We're right in front of the mirror. He's doing that tapping down, and you know these great suit salespeople, I've got a square neck apparently at the back, and he's adjusting that, and he's got the shoes on, so he's getting the leg length right, and how do you want the legs finished, with the turn-ups or straight leg, blah, 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 straight leg, okay? He sits back and he says, yeah, that looks really good. You know what? If you don't pull in that, there's something wrong. I tell you what, does this boy know his stuff or what? And right on cue, the lady who bought the shoes up says, oh, that looks really good. Yeah, sorry, I'm happily married. You're going to have to look elsewhere. What is this pair doing to my ego? As a puppy dog, if you've listened to the other type of customs out there, we talk about the lions, puppy dogs, snakes, and mouse. I'm definitely a puppy dog. The puppy dog's the one that likes that attention, the pat on the back. Aren't they stroking my ego there? Okay, of course they are. There's that mental ownership going in there. Now, he needs to ask for the business. Do you think he said, do you want to take the suit? Answers are yes or no. Do you think he said, what do you think? Well, okay, it's definitely something to think about. I'll go and think about it. Let me go and check with my wife, okay? No, he didn't do any of that, okay? I don't even know if he had a wife at that stage. He probably didn't, okay? I don't think he would use that line if he knew I was married, okay? But then he did this. He used a lovely alternative close again. He turned around and said, hey, Simon, did you want to take the suit with the shoes and the shirt, or the suit by itself? See, that's just two choices. Now, he told me a price. I didn't know how much it was. So I had to say, excuse me, how much is it? He told me a price that physically made me a touch ill. You know how that little bit of spew comes up and goes back down? He seen the look on my face. He then turned around and said, now, of course, Simon, that includes the extra pair of trousers we're talking about. But listen, why don't you just get the suit by itself and come back and get the extra pair of trousers when you need them? That makes sense, doesn't it? Now, if there's any chess players out there, you know that's a great pincer move, isn't it? Any which way I go. Let me say it again. Not, do you want to buy the suit? Okay. Did you want to buy the suit with the shoes and the shirt, or the suit by itself? How much is it? Okay. Price, eye-watering expensive. Okay. He sees the look and says, hey, Simon, that includes the extra pair of trousers. But listen, why don't you just get the suit by itself and come back and get the extra pair of trousers when you need them? That makes sense, doesn't it? Think it through. If I say, yes, that makes sense, what have I just bought? A suit. If I say, no, it doesn't make sense, what have I bought? A suit with two pairs of trousers. Now, guys, I tell that story all the time to brand new salespeople in the industry. And invariably, or inevitably, whatever the word is, I get a salesperson that says, yeah, he's got you on a suit, but I bet you're not being back. Here's the truth. Other than one suit that I wanted specifically for a gig I was speaking at, okay, I haven't bought a suit that hasn't been from Simon. So over the years, and that's going in 20 years now, over 20 years, I've bought lots of suits from Simon now. And I hear him use these mental ownership questions all the time. I can remember the first time, I know Patrick Tessier, a good friend from Australia. He runs the Australian Automotive Dealers Association. He invited me out to speak the first time at the conference. Oh, goodness me, Patrick, it must have been 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I wanted a new suit for this gig. It was my first really big gig in my life there, okay? So I wanted a new suit. And use these mental ownerships. It's the same process. When I'm in front of the mirror, he said, hey, Simon, this gig you're speaking at, this conference you're speaking at, how many people are going to be at it? And when I said, oh, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 people, something like that, what thought jumped into my head? On stage, in front of those people there. And he said, you know what? Before you open your mouth, they're going to know you know what you're talking about. Looking like that, that looks really good. And right on cue, guess what the lovely lady said? Yeah, that looks really nice. Do you know, I don't think I've heard her say anything other than those words, okay? Now, unfortunately, she doesn't work there anymore, okay? She moved on. Oh, there's a lovely guy who was getting dressed for a job in the City of London, and he wanted a new suit for the interview, okay? So the same thing, I hear him say this all the time now. In fact, I know Simon so well, I have a laugh and a joke with him, okay? So maybe he plays it up for me now when I'm in there. But this guy was getting dressed for this interview, okay? They're tapping him down and everything. He says, you know what? Before you open your mouth, they're going to know you're a serious candidate looking like that. That suit looks really sharp. And right on cue, the lady said, yeah, that looks really good. I thought she just said that to me. She says it to everyone. There's a lovely guy that was getting dressed for a father of the bride speech. Okay. He's in the mirror. They're tapping him down there. And Simon turned around. I know he's a bit cheeky. And I know it's probably not the right way for some of you guys, but I've got a relationship that Simon can get away with this. And also, he builds great rapport with people. But this lovely guy, his daughter's getting married. He's doing all the tapping him down in front of the mirror. He's got the little pins and everything. He turned around and said, you know what? When you give that father-bride speech, it's the bridesmaids you'll be worried about. You'll be knocking them off with a stick. You could see this lovely old guy thinking, yeah, I've still got it. I've still got it. That's that mental ownership. Now, mental ownerships, okay, we've got to get people to take mental ownership before they take actual ownership. It's what a good estate agent will do, or real estate agent if you're in America, Canada, listen to this in Australia. A good real estate or estate agent, they'll walk you into a house they're trying to rent you or sell you. They'll walk into the living room and they'll say, hey, where would you put your TV in here? And if the potential customer is like, probably put it in that corner there, aren't they mentally living there? Whose room would this be, your son's or your daughter's? Probably put my son there and my daughter over there. They're mentally living there, okay? They might, a good estate agent, they're mentally pitching the customers there. Let's take it to our world. And this is where I get salespeople stuff it up a bit. They hear this, okay? They think, oh, I like the idea of that. At the end of the demonstration drive, they'll say, can you see yourself driving this car to Edinburgh? Can you see yourself driving this car to Sydney? I'd urge you not to say that, because the answer to that is yes or no. And you haven't got that mental picture, that mental ownership into the customer's mind, okay? A mental ownership question cannot be a closed question, yes, no. It has to be an open question, okay? Ask you now, listen to this podcast, a cheeky question. If I say, did you enjoy your last holiday? It's going to be yes or no. You may not have thought about it. But if I turn around and said, hey, listen, what was the best part of your last holiday? Right now, are you picturing something? Those ski slopes, that beach, that wherever you were, okay? Or being really cheeky, and I hope I don't offend you with this one, okay? But if I turn around and say, do you like your partner's body? Now, don't answer that, but it's going to be a yes or a no, okay? But if I turn around and say, hey, listen, what was the best part of your partner's body? Now, again, don't answer that out loud, but it might force you to think of something. Well, maybe a couple of things. So we need to get that mental ownership, that image into the customer's head. So let's go back to qualification. If we know that the customer drives to London regularly for work, stick that into our head. Now, these mental ownership questions will only work when the customer is driving the car. They'll only work if you're doing an accompanied demonstration drive. Now, I know with COVID-19, we can't do that. If you ask these type of questions, when they're walking back in, they'll be driving their last car to London. On an accompanied demonstration drive, we might turn around and say, hey, listen, this CX-5 is lovely, isn't it? Yeah. Listen, you said you drive to London regularly for work. How often you go to London? Whereabouts in London you go? What takes you to London regularly? When's the next time you're going to London? How often you go to London, okay? It has to be a who, what, when, where, why, how. And that's where they're picturing that drive to London. They're off to see the in-laws. They're in their lovely new CX-5. That's where that mental ownership kicks in, okay? You might be, you find out they're a golfer, okay? And you'll turn around at qualification. Golf is important to them. So at the end on that mental ownership question, you might say, hey, listen, Mr. Casey, you said you're a golfer. Hey, what golf course do you play at? Oh, I play at the K Club just outside of Dublin. In their mind, they drive to the K Club. Then their lovely new Porsche Taycan. Their mates are going to be there, okay? And they're in their lovely new car. That's where that mental ownership kicks in. Or the real cheeky one. If you've got someone that's loving the car, okay? They're just, we call them the puppy dogs. They're so excited about the new car. You might turn around and do this, okay? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, can I ask you a cheeky question? Who's the first person you think you'll show your new Golf to? Now, if anyone answers that question, if they say, oh, I'll probably show my mother, what do you reckon she'll think? Probably show my brother, my sister. That's that mental ownership. Guys, we would recommend doing that mental ownership before you ask that trial close question. Okay? Now, don't force a mental ownership question in there, but people have to take mental ownership before they take actual ownership. If you can get that customer pitch themselves using that car on a day-to-day basis, or that holiday, that trip, they're off to see their in-laws, their mate at that football ground, doing the school run, okay? That mental ownership, I think, is one of the most powerful things that I learned that really helped from a suit salesperson. But also, guys, let's have a look at that whole story that Simon went through from start to finish, okay? He put me through a sales process. Right at the beginning, if he just said, can I help you? I'd say, no, I'm just looking. Right at the beginning, if he said, what budget did you have in mind for a suit? I'd never end up spending the money I did on that suit. Oh, also, if he lied about the suit, okay, this is one of them now, okay? I promise you, this one here must be 3 or 4 years old. They do last longer than what I was wearing before. If he lied about it, I wouldn't have gone back, okay? So he's told me the truth there. But also, unless he put me through the presentation, that demonstration, he put me through that sales process, guess what? I don't think I'd ever invest that amount of money in the suit. So guys, think about that. Again, for the dealer principals listening to this, this is one of those podcasts that you might want to forward on to your salespeople, okay? These are the ones that I've had lots of people saying, oh, I like these in our sales meeting. I'm always looking for tips and ideas. So I hope you all listen to this in the sales meeting, that your sales manager or your dealer principal forward this on. Try mental ownerships when you're with the customers next time. And again, tune into Selling in the Motor Trade podcast. You listen to it now. Listen, I think we've got about 70 different episodes there. Go back and have a listen to all these different ones. Get some tips and ideas on how you can sell more cars, make more money. And the last thing, I'm going to ask a favor. Will you do me a favor? Listen, forward it on to someone else there. We want to get the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast out to as many people as we can. I think it's 15,500 readers, viewers, listeners. I don't know what you call them in a podcast. So 15,500 this goes out to every week, okay? So we just want to keep growing that as much as we can there, because it's all about tips and ideas. And hey, if you want to go and buy some stuff off us later, of course, that's what I'd want. But you know what? Just share this with people in your organization. And hopefully, I'll see you next time. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, symcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.